I share the slide again.
I will introduce you for a moment.
Wait. Yeah, wait. Share again. I forgot to turn on the sound.
It's live already. So.
All right. Okay, sure. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Omega.
Good afternoon, guys. So
yeah.
Welcome back to Game Fest 2021. This is our second talk of today, and here we have our special guest, Mr. Omega Yuen, who is the CTO of Shinobi Studios. Let me tell you a little bit about Shinobi. So Shinobi Studios is a gaming business established in Kuala Lumpur since 2018. So in this talk, he will share his 10-year experience and knowledge with us on how to get started into gaming industry, and also talk about the journey of indie game development with Shinobi Studios. All right, yeah, take the stage, Mr. Omega.
Hi, very good morning, everyone. I'm Omega from Shinobi. So today I'm going to share to you guys how we build our business engagement through game. All right. So before I go into details, I just talk a little bit about us. All right, Shinobi. So we are a company that based in Malaysia that been formed, I think, around almost 3 years ago. Almost 3 years, closing 3 years. So these are team members. And then now we currently have about 30 over members in the team. And below there are some of the games that we have developed before, and there are still much more coming in. All right. So so the things that I learned during when I'm game developments, there are many things. Because previously, for myself, I'm not from a game education background. I'm from multimedia design. So how do I come across this is when I have one project that is involve us to do interactive solution for the assignment. Then so at the time I like to play games. So I try to, why not we make something interactive like games. Then at the time I used something called Adobe Flash. I think now it's called Adobe Animate to create something like this. And this is the very first I wouldn't say it's a game, but it still can you can just walk around and collect some items. So this is inspired by MapleStory. The time is actually very popular. So I try to make it myself. And yeah, although it's not fully complete, but it gives me the idea that, hey, it's not that hard though. Why not I venture into this industry as well? So after I graduated from diploma, then I joined a game course development in my degree. And so this is the result of my FYP once I complete my game development. It is a demo project for PC. And this is the very first time I experienced on how to actually use a game engine to develop a game. So after this completed, then it really gives me an idea that, hey, it's not hard though, right? To create a game, right? The engine is there, a lot of function is already there, so it's really cool. So this is the actual demo that you see for my FYP, and I'm quite proud of it at the time, but the time a few years ago, because we won some award after we launched a demo of the product. All right. So this is the demo of it, but the game is not published because it's a school project though. Okay, it's called Paradigm Shift. So then after I graduated, but sadly because that time, right, that not much game company that in Malaysia, only a few if I'm not mistaken. And I couldn't find a job in a game company. So I work as a tutor, assistant tutor that teach in the school. So I think this is the point that a lot of people, when they graduate from games, right, if they couldn't get a job as a game developers or a game artist, they might give up. They might just ignore it. Okay, then they're doing what they do now. Okay, so for me, I don't want that because I spend so much time on learning how to make games, right? I still want to continue. So when I'm still tutoring, I continue develop games. I continue to learn how to develop games. So after I finish my work, I go back home. Then I spend some time to develop another game by myself. Then I learn how to do programming, little bit by little bit, and it took me quite a long time though. So almost about a year. I think more than a year. So this is the product that I do after I graduated. I spent almost a year plus to develop this by my own. And of course, I get some help from my friend as well, some programmer friends to teach me how to do things and ask them to come and join me to develop some of the features, some function there, which is really hard to develop. So it's a hack and slash tower defense games. Every day spend about 3-4 hours in the night after I finish work. Before I go to sleep, I just do this. So the game actually launched. You can actually download the game in Play Store. It's called Crocodile Legend. Yeah, so this is the game, Crocodile Legend. You can actually download the game. For me, the game is not super successful though, because it's only made a couple of thousands in the store, but it's still good because I learned something through the entire project. This is my very first mobile game after I graduated, and so these are the things that I learned through this. Either you make the progress or you make the excuses, because a lot of people, when they're not in the industry, they just come and give excuses. Oh, I don't have time. I don't know how to do this because I have to work and I'm very tired. So then after some time, right, they kind of forget the entire things already, and then they just ignore the progress. So for me, I don't want that to happen. So I just keep on making progress. Although the project take me quite long to do, or I don't know how to do, I just try to learn it. And even though the project is failed, never mind. I learned something from the mistake I done. Just continue doing it. So eventually, this is where we are now. So after this, I quit the job. I joined some of my friend companies and worked there. Then with a very low pay, I believe at the time. So then a lot of things happened. So finally, in 2017 on December, we formed a company called Shinobi, like the current company. With just only 2 employees, and we work in a very small room. It's just like a normal small bedroom in the office. Only can fit about maximum 4 person. So we work hard from there, and luckily, in June 2018, we become self-sustained. We earn a lot, close to $500,000 in the revenue by doing game project for clients. Then the team size starting to grow to about 5%. Then in the end of 2018, the team split into 2 divisions. One is doing games and another one is doing project, because, as you know, if the game is not making money, we need some source of income for us to survive. So that's we have another team just doing project for clients. And luckily, we also got some awards from the government. And this is actually very, very important, because it gives us a spark that say, okay, hey, you guys, what you guys are doing here is working. So keep on doing it. So our team actually keep on doing it. So luckily, in 2019, early 2019, the size go to 12 person in the team, and then we moved to a better office, which is in Bangsa. And then we continue to develop our own system based on the knowledge and the skill that we learned through the entire game development. And then we secure even more big clients to help us to grow. So eventually, we get selected by Google as for their games accelerator programs. And by that year, we are the only Malaysia team selected. So we're actually very proud of that. And then we continue to develop our system and our games until now. All right. So that's our backstory. So to summarize it, in Shinobi, we have 2 different departments. One is doing game development, solely game development. We provide and game development for clients and also for our own IP as well. Okay. And also the other department is doing software and interactive solution, and for something like system management system, access system, and many more. So this is where the making money part. So all the revenue that we make, we invest back into ourselves to continue to chase for our dreams. Okay, so yeah, so how do we actually do that? Okay, I think you guys maybe you heard of a term called gamification. Okay, maybe you heard of it. But if for the one who didn't hear of it, what is that? Okay, gamification is something like you use something like game design or game element or gameplay for non-gaming purposes. Okay, so for example, so imagine this is the normal simple application that you have. Okay, so imagine that you have a normal to-do list, exercise tracker, and social network. If you apply gamification into this, right, this is might become a normal to-do list might become a daily quest that where you can get reward after you complete certain tasks, right? Then for the exercise tracker, you can make it into the zombie survival apocalypse tracking, so you get to get fit while running away from a zombie. And for the social network, you can actually make it for like log check-in, sharing with all your friends, and then you get some reward and unlock content from that as well. So this is something like gamification can do, right? It sounds great and fun, right? But most of the time, this happens. Okay, 80% or most of the gamification project fail to meet the business objective. There are many reasons. The main reason for it to fail, for my opinion, is because many of them fail to understand what is the problem that they're trying to solve. Okay, we often taught in the school that before you answer the question, you have to know the questions. Hence, in our case, we have to understand what the main problem that the client are trying to solve. Okay, then only we can give them a solution. I believe this is applied to many things, not only just for gamification. But these are one of the reasons I believe why the gamification fail. And the other reason why I think it's failed because of very bad tutorials. Okay, of course we can start with a very thin layer of gamification for your project. I always told my student that when I'm still a tutor, that you can't polish something that already bad, already broken from the inside, and hope that it will become good eventually. No, so your whole thing has to be certain quality in the beginning. But if let's say you have a very good system, but people don't really understand how you use it, right? There's no point. So why not you can apply gamification into it? Because imagine that your product need 40 over tutorials or a lot of tutorials to understand how it works, right? Then it's too complex already. Then you can maybe gamify the tutorial instead, make it more interesting for the tutorial. So when they're doing the onboarding program or tutorial, right, they get fun to do that. And the other reason why I think this gamification will fail, because of the idea itself is very bad. Okay, the bad game. Because a lot of developer or designer, yes, they can really make great game, great product. It's not hard to make a good game, but it's really hard to make the entire experience engaging. People get bored easily, right? Even though you have a good game, but then you play a while, you get bored, and there's no point. So you have to gamify the entire thing to make it engaging enough. And the other problem I see is because of no rules. Sometimes it can go wrong because we don't set the boundary clear enough for people to understand. Because you have to clearly define the rules upfront, if possible, and force them automatically so they got no question to ask you when they use your product. So they know what to do. They won't go do something that is outside the rules and expect something different to happen, right? So imagine an example that when you go to a restaurant, in the menu there's so many things for you to choose, right? Normally people just go for the normal thing, the item that they choose every day. They won't choose the other one. So so in Japan, a lot of shop, they just have very few menu. So you go there, you know what you need to choose already. So this is something that you can set up in your project, the clear rules. And the other reason is maybe you apply the wrong type of gamification or game idea into the project. Okay, imagine that if you design a system that is encourage the people to learn the process and achieve something, so the high achiever or adventurous people will love it, but for casual user might not, because they find it too complex. So you really have to work out on the type of a game or the idea to who people want to use the system. Maybe you can allow the contributor, the people like to contribute in the project, to answer the question. People who like to socialize, give them a way to communicate within the project, I mean the game itself. And also let the casual user to create their own world, I mean play their own and explore the content by their own. And finally, let the actual hardcore players to earn some points and badges from them. So you can design in such a way also. And the final thing to look at is, I think maybe if the whole thing is not working, usually this is what I tell my client, then maybe you're targeting the wrong type of user. If let's say you have a perfect system, everything is well balanced and good, but it's still just not working. So maybe you gamify someone that is not interested in your product at all. So you might have to consider your target audience. Well, summarize it is that gamification might not always be the answer. Sometimes it's just easy to think that can solve your problem, but not really. So if really can't, right, perhaps you can use this game thinking. Okay, what is game thinking? Game thinking is the use of game-alike approach to solve some problem and to create a better experience. So, for example, how I will do is when I met with my client, when I have a project or something, if there's a problem there, I will try to break down every single part of component and gamify the way how I think of the solution, and then find the problem, give a solution, and combine it back and fix it and give it back to my client instead of gamify the entire project. Okay, so for example, how you can use game thinking when you do your decision making. Okay, so imagine that you have a project and then you have to plan on it. So you have to ask yourself, what you want a project to be. Do you want the main purpose of a project is to be entertainment? If yes, you might want to create games. Okay, if no, then you ask again, do you want to create a environment where they can test something in real life? If yes, then you might want to create a simulations. If no, then you ask again, do you want a real game that teach someone something when they finish play, they can achieve something? If yes, you might want to consider a serious game. If no, then are you looking to use game idea or element to motivate or engage the users? If yes, then of course you need gamification. If no, then you might need to use game-inspired design for the entire project. Okay, so this is one of the example how you can use game thinking when you do decision makings. Okay, and another example is you can use game thinking when you do preparation and have fun with that. So let's see how we can actually do that. If let's say in case you're going to meet your clients or you're going to have presentations soon, so you can do this actually. So imagine that it's like playing an adventure game. So your client is the dungeon boss, and this is you. This is the boss. Okay, so if you have no prepare, right? If without any preparation, you just go into the dungeon and fight the boss, right? This will happen to you, right? Of course, you'll be dead. Okay, so normally when we play game, we will cast some spell like maybe called Libra or something to check the boss status and the information of the boss. So in the real time, in real world, we call it Google, right? You can just Google it, or you can just call them and ask them what they need actually, or for more information. So after you've done that, right, then you know the information that you need. Okay, so you know the weakness and the skill that the boss will use. I mean, the client that have. Then, so now you have the information. So next thing is to do some preparation. So you need to pick the right team into the party. Like you play game, you choose the right equipment and set the right skill which able to counter his strength and exploit his weaknesses. Okay, so in my case is for the team, if I know the meeting with the client is talk about planning and timeline or market opportunity, I will bring my marketer and producer into the team. If the meeting is involved implementation or integration, I will bring my tech guy into it, because they can answer better, right? You don't bring an entire team into the meeting because it's just like too overwhelming. Just bring the right and the key person into the meeting is enough. Okay, like a presentation, you just send everybody go up. It's actually very funny. Right? Everybody sits standing on the stage and doing nothing, standing there. So it's very weird. Just bring the key person that can answer the question is enough. If you have these chances, okay. So if you know the purpose of the the problem that the client is facing, which is consider his weaknesses in this case, I will make sure my team come up with a better solution, okay, to solve the problem. But of course, beware of their strength as well. I mean, maybe they try out a lot of solution or different idea. So you have to really do some deep research and simulation of thinking how to solve their problems. And of course, if everything is ready, last is, of course, you have to do some training if you're worried, okay? Just do some test presentation or some mock presentation and some Q&A section with your team. So before you meet the client, because sometimes they will ask you some question that the client might asking. So prepare on that first. So if you do the right thing, then most likely you can win the battle, okay? So now you are ready, face the boss, okay? Your party is ready, your equipment is ready, everything is ready. But sometimes shit happens, right? The boss might have some final attack or they have some final ideas that can wipe up your entire team. But it's okay, because no matter you win or lose from this battle, right, you still gain something. You learn some new skill, you gain some new experience. As long as you're not giving up, you can use whatever that you learn from here, the question that ask you from here, and for the next battle, and strategize for the better version of your presentation the next time. Okay, so this is some of the example that how we approach our client also, that we created for our client in the past couple of years. So like, for example, one of the stepping games, speed setter game, is they're having a marathon in the highway. So what we do is we create some obstacle there. So we build a game and then the machine. So when they run over, well, when they pass by, they have to play the game to get the score before they can move on to the next station. And also the dancing game for our client, also a DJ client. So we use their radio, their FM radios team song to create a dancing game with their DJ head there disturb kacauing the players. And also a multiplayer Pac-Man game. This is for one of the bank client in the event. So we want to create some engagement between the user. So we put a motion sensor machine there. So when people pass by, right, they can sense the player, and then can have two players play the Pac-Man together, right? And also many more. Also another one, on the top and the bottom right corner, we gamify the supermarket experience also. So what we do is we create some kiosks and a lot of mini games for the supermarket. So when people pass by, they play the mini games. If they got the score right in keying the information, then we will send them the voucher so they can actually buy the item. So what we do here is, since they already spent some time to play the games, right, and when they get the voucher, they see, okay, hey, maybe this product got 30% discount, then suddenly they want to go and buy that product. So this is how gamification can be applied to all the project that you have, and create some fun with that. So another tips that I can share to you guys is something like this. How we do it in the company. So maybe you can gamify the way you run the company as well. This is what I tried, and I found it effective. So imagine that you got a job, but your entire team is busy and on other projects. Instead of just force them to do an OT for you, why not set up a bounty system for the staff, right? So for example, you can write and post on the wall, say, to anyone who can complete this project in 7 days, your reward will be 500 ringgit and it will be expired in the coming 3 days, right? So it sounds like a commission system, but a little bit more engaging because it gives the choice to your people or your friend or your staff to choose whether they want to accept it or not by sacrificing some of their time for the rewards. It's just like playing game. Because by taking some of the profit that you have and share it to your staff, right, it not only allow you to complete the project and also you're able to build much more engaging staff environment as well. Because in the end, nothing beats the real rewards. Because nobody want to OT without any extra pay, right? I think that's normal. So this is the system that we set up for our staff, and then they're happy with that. Yeah, really happy, and it is working. So. And then I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for my team as well, because without them, we won't be here we are today. And all of them are very hardworking for them. And hopefully that we can continue to strike more better. So before I end my presentation, I'd like to share with you guys something. So this is a project, a new project that we're working on. It's called Educate. Okay. Right, so Educate currently is in open beta, so you guys in Google, so you guys can try it, download and try it out, and give us some comment. It's purely a cool educational game because since during the MCO, a lot of school, I mean, they are not open, so a lot of students they sadly they couldn't go to school and learn. So we create a game that where they can play it and learn at the same time. So for Apple version, the beta will most likely will be happening end of next week. So yeah, I think that's all for my sharing, and hope you guys like it. I didn't bore you guys. Okay, so now I think I just open for the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Right, yeah, thank you so much for presenting to us.
Okay.
Right now we'll get to our Q&A session. So there's our first question comes.
Should I close the slide?
Oh, sure. Yeah. You can close it.
Okay. Wait.
Right. So our first question. Yeah, we have. Are you ready? Oh, hold on, sorry.
Yeah, I'm ready.
What is the difference between gamification and game-inspired design?
Okay, so gamification is actually you gamify the entire project. You create something, make it more engaging. So game-inspired design is something like you want to design something, you want to create something with the idea, with some game idea on that. So one is the planning, the other one is the actual product itself. So it's a bit different. Yeah.
A follow-up question to that by another person is, what is there any gap or difference between gamification and game development in terms of working experience, or are there any similarities?
Is there any gap difference between gamification and game development in terms of working experience? Slightly, yes, slightly, because people who develop games, right, they might not able to do gamification because of gamification is something that you not create the actual game itself. You're using what you learn in game and create something fun for people to play. I mean, not for people to use. Let's say, for example, you have a mobile application. Actually now also a lot. Some of the e-commerce app, right? You can actually play some mini games and then get some coins when you buy something. But game itself is just total entertainment. Gamification might not apply in entertainment. So there is some difference on that. So for our staff also, they have to go through the training before they can actually work on the gamification projects. Yeah, because
Right.
of one more I can add on is that because game is purely target for game players, for players to actually use it. But for gamification, you have to think about it might be target to normal user, might be some normal user or office people use your product. So you have to think on their point of view, right?
Of course.
Okay.
The next question here we have is, should we work in the game industry for working experience before venturing into indie game industry?
I would say yes and no also, because when how to say that indie game companies, sometimes there is a risk there, because as we also, there's a risk that our game is not making money sometimes. Okay, so we have to worry the fact that the company might be closing down soon. But the good thing about working in the game in indie company is that you learn a lot compared to actual game company. But still, you still learn a lot in the actual game company. The different thing you will learn, because indie games you need to do everything, really iterate everything. So imagine that you are the only artist in the indie company. So you have to learn how to create the arts, how to apply the art into the engine, how to create the animation, maybe how to do the UI, how to plan the design. Whereas in the big company, you might only working on just one particular, like just create the art. But of course, in the big company, you learn about their pipeline, their experience, and how do they do things. So you still learn something in both company. So if you got a chance to work in an indie company, I would say yes, because whatever you learn from there is really a lot. Then you can apply it into the actual industry as well.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Having experience outside is very much helpful when you enter the bigger leagues, I'd say.
Yes.
So another question here is, what is your greatest project and why did you choose it?
Actually, for me, all the project is actually great also. For now, actually, we are working on another new project at which I think by the end of, I think mid year, I think around June, the game will be ready. I think that will be a greatest one, because we spend a lot of time to do it. So why do we choose to do it? Because we actually like, we like that idea. I can't share the idea yet. Okay, I like the idea because we always play games that's similar to that. And I always tell because I play with my team also, with similar game type. So that we told the team that why not we make something like that. Then, yeah, the project is not ready, so we can't share yet the name and the idea.
All right. So another question here is, why do you think Malaysian indie game standard compared to a big company like Bandai Little Nightmare 2?
Let me try to understand the question. Why do you think Malaysia indie game standard compared to big company? I don't quite.
What he's trying to think. What he's trying to say is, how would you compare Malaysian indie game companies compared to the bigger game companies like Bandai with their Little Nightmare 2?
I think I think you can't compare that because it's different. It's not apple and orange compare, right? Because indie company mostly sometimes indie company might not be the size of the company. You have the team of 30 or 50%, you still can call yourself indie company, right? Some people actually have that. So indie company is like independent developer. They don't have any string attached to them, so they just make something that they want to do it. That's how the indie company. Big corporation, usually they have some rules, they want to do some project. They have their client base, they want to facilitate the client, so they have to do something, follow back the marketing planning, the business planning, everything they have to follow entirely. But for indie game, they just like, hey, this idea sounds good, right? Maybe you just do it. Yeah. So that's the difference. Yeah, that's the difference. Yes.
So next here we have about an internship question. How to secure an internship opportunity with Shinobi Studios?
I think this one you can go to our website, or you can send it to our HR at shinobi.com. HR@shinobi.com, then apply for it. As long as you met the requirement, I think that is fine. But for now, a bit hard because now MCO, we actually stopped taking for a while because of the MCO, because intern usually we teach them how, we actually put them in project and guide them. But in MCO, a bit hard for us to guide, so we just solve for now. Yeah.
Distance.
Yes.
Follow-up question to this one. What kind of soft skills or hard skills that when interviewing fresh graduates do you look for?
There can be many things. Actually, as long as you are prepared, well prepared, and then you know what you are doing, that is good. Because time to time, I do receive some of the funny application, like for example, okay, when they send in the email, right, they didn't write anything, just say, hey, I'm looking for internship. But this is the very, very rude things to say directly like that. So you have to write a proper email saying that, hey, I'm from where, I'm from this department, this college, I'm doing this, I'm looking for internship. You try to be, be polite in the way you speak. Then you have to put in the required documents, your CV and your portfolio as well, and make it easy for people actually to build it. Because you know, the person who look for to go through the process, right? There might not just one person only, there will be a lot of person. So if you make his or her life easy, then he will remember this particular person, right? Then easy for her or him to share it out to the team. Then it's higher chance for you to get selected also. So when doing interview, so make sure that you are really well prepared. Talking about if you have portfolio and everything, you definitely need to have portfolio, and you go through the entire your school life. If you tell me you got no portfolio, that's very funny. So I'll be wondering, what is this student doing in his school, right? So make sure you prepare the portfolio as well, and then prepare your computers, because sometimes students they come in the interview, they don't have a computer. So you can't expect the interviewer, right, have prepared a computer for you. You can't expect that. So you have to prepare yourself also, and then make sure that you turn on your computer when you enter the interview. Because some of the experience I have is when during the interview, so we ask for, like, can you show me your portfolio? Then they only start to turn on their computer, press the power button, and they say, oh, sorry, this computer is slow. Then you just sit there awkwardly waiting for it to open. Then sadly, the thing cannot be opened. Then when you open a project, got bar. So this kind of thing, try to avoid that, okay? Because whatever you do from here is actually your soft skill. We look from it, okay, this person is not prepared. He's not responsible. Something like that, yeah. So, yeah, this is the main thing that we look at. If you don't have a very strong skill set, it's fine. And as long as we can understand during the interview, you know that you can learn and you can do, that is fine. All right. So this is the main thing lah.
So in that case, what was the most important skill in that case? Or this kind of thing? Communication,
depends on the job. Communication is one thing. Depends on the job that you are interviewing. If you're interviewing as an artist, right, then show some artwork. Okay. If you interview as a programmer, then you show your programming works. Because I remember sometimes also, they come in, they interview as programmer, they show me how they draw the characters. They're like, this is irrelevant though, right? So the skill is what you do lah. Okay, what you are trying to interview, right? Focus on that.
That's great. That's great. All right, moving on. Now here is wondering, what was the project that you've worked for the longest? Was the time spent worth it?
Another working most is actually the one of the access management system that we're doing for our client. It's a very big project because it involves hotels and some housing and stuff like that, and also some hardware also. Is it worth it, you ask me? I would say yes. Yes, because that project brings us into another level and open our eye into different business and how do we do things. So from there also, whatever we learn from the experience and how the user experience is, then we apply back into our game development also. It's a software system for access and also house management.
I see. That's interesting. I see. So this question right here, I believe he's talking about the previous game that you're talking about, the one that you can't reveal.
Okay. What is the genre?
Wondering, what kind of genre is it?
Is I would say hack and slash. Yeah, hack and slash. It's for PC. Hack and slash adventure game. I can see, yeah, I think it's adventure, yeah. Hack and slash adventure.
That's fun. That's fun. I personally like a lot of hack.
When the beta is ready, I definitely will share to you guys in the APU. As you get to be the beta tester first. All right.
A couple more questions. So, do you prefer gamification or game development?
Good question though. Let me see. I like both actually. Sometimes because when you're in the game developments too long, right? You need something to actually come in to break your flow and then help you to rethink the whole thing. Game, I like to play game. That's why I want to develop game. I try to do something fun with it. Gamification is a bit different because you having, how to say that? It's very interesting because when you see a bunch of people coming in, right? They tell you, hey, I got this problem. Can you help me to solve or not? Then for me myself, right, I kind of feel like I'm playing a simulation game. This client is my simulation project. If I try to do this thing, right, maybe this will happen. So it's like playing a game with
That's
it.
interesting.
Yeah. So I would say both also I prefer. I can't answer this question really.
What is this question right here? I'm intrigued on how Shinobi Studios is adapting to the new normal moving forward with their respective work and game development amidst the post-COVID, this current situation. How is it happening to you guys?
It's kind of hard in the beginning. I think in the first few months when we moved everything to work from home now. I mean, currently work from home. We have to set up a different way of project planning, and we have to set up a very strict, update from the team. Because in the office environment, we kind of, if you into the office, then you know that the office actually very how to say that we don't set a very strict rules in office, so people can just speak loud. Speak here and just talk there, and it's just as long as they're working on the project, then it's fine. So when they're in home, right? So they're no longer talking to the colleague. They feel a bit like outcast like that. A lot of staff are asking me, Omega, can I come back to office because I feel a bit weird when I'm working alone in my home. Usually in the office, we heard the one in the opposite saying, hey, the thing is not working, eh? How? Then I can answer, just shout at that. Right? But in a home, they can't do that. So then we have to set up we move our entire project planning and the update into Discord channel, our Discord channel. And because we play games, and then we talk some funny stuff in Discord also, like where to eat and what to eat and vote for what to eat also. Then we think, okay, why not we move the entire project planning into Discord? Then we set up different channel for different team to share their nonsense and the project update into that. So after a few months of trying, now it's getting better. People are getting used to that. So we still set up weekly meeting and also daily update in Discord channel to keep track on the project that we're doing. Sometimes we also, because we also will have a meet up in the office, only the management, only few of us, to update on the problem that we're facing and also the current project that what we need to do next. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm sure it was difficult adapting to the whole COVID thing when it first started, but yeah, hopefully COVID moves on soon. Can't wait to go to school or employees to go back to work in their offices, just like all. Right.
Yes.
I actually have a question for you.
Okay, sure.
Regarding gamification. So, what is the most challenging part of gamification?
The most challenging part of gamification is to educate the clients. I can say that. Because sometimes clients, they are not into games, they are not into fun. If you are into a corporate client, right, they have their rules. You have to work on their rules, and you may tell them, okay, maybe you can do something like that. Then they were afraid because they don't understand, so they were afraid. They might not dare to try. So you have to work very hard to convince them and to educate them. Okay, this is how it works. So that's why we have to do a lot more research and some example when we present to them and show them. So this is, I would say, the hardest part.
I see. Yeah, because everyone's different, right? Not everyone likes to play games.
Yes, yes.
So
Imagine that when you're presenting a game to
the idea.
ODs who is about almost close to 60, 50 or 60 years old. You're not playing game before, then you try to convince him. Then you have to work really hard on that. Sometimes,
I see.
sometimes, yeah.
Let's have last two questions here.
Okay.
So one from Leon, he asks, why do you think people will play indie game compared to AAA games?
People play games, okay. I mean, people play a bunch of games. They really don't care is it indies or AAA games. Of course, AAA games you have very nice graphics and stuff like that. But usually, if you notice, right, a lot of AAA game very similar though, right? You have a shooter game here, then you have another shooter game there. You played it, and you know, okay, what's supposed to happen, right? So if else indie game are very creative, sometimes it not the normal way that you play. So when we play a lot of AAA games, then we will try out some indie games. Actually, a lot of indie game that people play, which is another game. Called Cat Quest that we our friend made in Singapore. It's an indie games. But it sounds like a big AAA game, but just only made from 4 people. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Right. The last one here we have is from Ray. Do you even have the time to play games while you are working or developing one?
Yes. You understand my pain. Not really. I don't have much time to play game when we're working on projects and also games. So, but sometimes I will take myself off from the development, maybe on a Sunday, a couple of hours. I will just play on a game that I just try out different games, simulation games and stuff like that. And sometimes the funny thing is, games like simulation game, like this strategy game, right? You have to spend time just wait for the resource to generate, right? That type of game I can play while I'm working. And when I'm doing the art, I'm programming something, I'm putting out the asset. Then I know the game is still loading on the progress before I can build the building, and I just continue my work. So after an hour, it's done. I can just click and then go back to it. That one I do. But also, one thing that I can share to you, when you're working in the game industry, when you play game, right, it's not the way you play game before, because you always, when you play a game, you will think, okay, I know how to hit, I know how you're doing that, I know what next, so you don't have the fun anymore. Like me, when I play the games, when I pass by something, I look at the wall and I think something gonna happen in this wall. It look a bit different than the normal asset, the rest of the asset. So you kind of spoil the fun.
I'm sure a lot of people who want to go to the game development companies, they wish to play games while they're on their off time or whatever.
No, that's not really the case. When you work in the game industry, then you will know lah. maybe you play less game. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That'll be all for this Q&A session. Sorry that if I missed any of your questions, if you didn't make it to the next few, but yeah, to conclude this session, I'd like to say first, please enter into the chat. There's a reference or a link to a feedback form. If you fill in the form, you may get a e-certificate. So you may do that. But to conclude, thank you, Mr. Omega, for coming and presenting to us. It was very much informative, especially to me. I thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. It was nice listening to how to get into indie game development or gamification, and the story of how Shinobi Studios came to be. It was very interesting. So thank you very much.
It's my
And
pleasure.
thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Pleasure.
Okay, thank you for inviting as well. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.